Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. Never was anything great achieved without danger. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Wisdom consists of knowing how to distinguish the nature of trouble, and in choosing the lesser evil. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of your enemy. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. He who builds on the people builds on the mud. Nature creates few men brave. Industry and training makes many. Men never do good unless necessity drives them to it. But when they are free to choose and can do just as they please, confusion and disorder become rampant. One should never fall in the belief that you can find someone to pick you up. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. He who is highly esteemed is not easily conspired against. Men intrinsically do not trust new things that they have not experienced themselves. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. For in truth, there is no sure way of holding other than by destroying. Make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not the strength to suffer. Hence it comes that all armed prophets have been victorious, and all unarmed prophets have been destroyed. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. We have not seen great things done in our time except by those who have been considered mean. The rest have failed. It is a common fault of men not to reckon on storms in fair weather. In peace, one is despoiled by the mercenaries, in war by one's enemies. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. Necessity is what impels men to take action, and once necessity is gone, only rot and decay are left. Men will not look at things as they really are, but as they wish them to be, and are ruined. God creates men, but they choose each other. If you wish to please me, and to bring success and honor to yourself, do right and study, because others will help you if you help yourself. Men live peacefully as long as their old way of life is maintained, and there is no change in customs. Fear is as dangerous an enemy as resentment. An unavoidable war is called justice. When brutality is the only option left, it is holy. It is far better to earn the confidence of the people than to rely on fortresses. He who has once begun to live by robbery will always find pretexts for seizing what belongs to others. Do you laugh because you are successful, or because another one is unfortunate? Do not fear having no friends. Fear having bad friends. Power is the pivot on which everything hinges. He who has the power is always right. The weaker is always wrong. Nothing consumes itself so much as generosity, because while you practice it, you're losing the wherewithal to go on practicing it. Good individuals cannot exist without good education, and good education cannot exist without good laws. Instead of praying for some new holy man to save you, learn the way to hell in order to steer clear of it yourself. Time sweeps everything along and can bring good as well as evil, evil as well as good. In the city of the blind, whoever has one eye is Lord. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. We're all players in a game. You're a player or a piece on the board. You move or you're moved. You play the game or the game plays you. How does one use power to do good when wielding power requires one to do evil? Men can assist fortune but not oppose her. They can weave her schemes, but they cannot break them. Fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails. The aim of the people is more honest than that of the nobility, the latter desiring to oppress, and the former merely to avoid oppression. Men ought to attempt everything and fear nothing. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. He who is not your friend will demand your neutrality. Having come to freedom, a corrupt people can with the greatest difficulty maintain itself free. He who has relied on fortune less has maintained his position best. Hatred is gained as much by good works as by evil. It's easy to convince people of something, but hard to keep them convinced. I also believe that he who adapts his policies to suit the times will succeed, and he who does not will fail. A sign of intelligence is an awareness of one's own ignorance. Men are more ready to offend one who desires to be beloved than one who wishes to be feared. Men, for the most part, follow in the footsteps and imitate the actions of others. He who, blinded by ambition, raises himself to a position whence he cannot mount higher, must fall with the greatest loss. In mercenaries, dastardy is most dangerous. In auxiliaries, valor. When neither their property nor their honor is touched, the majority of man live content. Many men have more skill in avoiding errors than in correcting them. Always assume incompetence before looking for conspiracy. Everything has contributed to your greatness. You must do the rest. Men are so thoughtless they'll opt for a diet that tastes good without realizing there's a hidden poison in it. When people are treated well by someone they thought was hostile, they respond with even greater loyalty. The more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Ruling problems require ruthless solutions. The people are more ready to believe a lie than a hard truth. The measure of a man lies not in his titles, but in his actions. Never allow your enemy to see the cracks in your armor. When fortune favors you, seize the moment. When she deserts you, endure with resolve. It is better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. The best way to keep faith is to maintain your strength. The common good is not promoted by a multitude of good intentions, but by a few good actions.